Good evening, everybody. This is Attorney Mubarak in downtown Orlando. This week, we are going to do a little bit different scheduling. Our Facebook Live is today and not Thursday. We'll be able to, unfortunately, broadcast on Thursday. So tonight, we're going to go ahead and do it so that way we don't miss a week. We have a different program for you tonight where we actually have a client who has gone through a very long 8 or 9 year immigration story process. So tonight she has been so generous to share her story with us and her family story, as I've represented multiple family members with their immigration matters and their personal injury matters as well. So before we get started, as you know, we always start our Facebook with good news. So today I was at USCIS for an interview at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was worth it to get up that early. My client had applied for naturalization 2 times on his own, and they denied his case twice. So he hired us for an appeal. We argued that the decision was, factually and legally incorrect, and the officer agreed with us today. And now today, after 20-something years, he's now a citizen. So a lot of times we used to not think about filing an appeal because it would take just as long as filing a new case. But now the appeal processing for N-400s for citizenship is taking about 6 months or so. So congratulations to that client. He's now a US citizen, and I'm really happy for him. The other important news to share is that now we have TPS for Venezuela. So if you're a Venezuelan citizen or you're a person without any statehood, but you are residing in Venezuela, you can qualify for TPS, temporary protected status. Some quick benefits: you can get a work authorization, protection from deportation. You can even seek a travel document or an advance parole document. It also is really good to just kind of preserve one's status. So a lot of times, if you're going to fall out of status soon, or if you have a pending asylum case, you can file for TPS as an extra layer of protection. Or if you're here on an F1 student visa and you want the ability to work, TPS will help you with that. So I'm really happy. We've been trying to get TPS for Venezuela for several years, and it was finally announced yesterday. And you have to prove some of your continuous residence from March 8th, 2021 and beyond. And we do have a lot of Italian and Spanish citizens, dual citizens from Venezuela. It doesn't necessarily matter that you entered on a foreign passport that's not Venezuelan. You may still qualify. So we're going to do an update on TPS later in the week for Venezuelans. If you have any questions, we're even going to offer a same-day service of filing. This way you can get your spot in line and hopefully get your work permit as soon as possible. Secondly, the Supreme Court today dismissed an appeal for the public charge. So all of 2020, we talked about this Form 944, this very invasive form that requires credit scores, debts, liabilities, assets, in order to determine whether or not you're likely to become a public charge. We no longer need to file it. So for all of our clients that we did file it, don't worry, your case is pending. But moving forward in the future, we will not need to file it. Okay, so as I mentioned, that today's Facebook Live is happening because I won't be able to do it this Thursday. And this is our first ever live client testimonial. So I'm very thankful that Miss Alejandra has agreed to be on our show tonight. She has been my client for almost 10 years. And now we've run out of things to apply for. And she's going to tell us her entire journey. As I mentioned, she came here at the age of 7. She is now a medical assistant, a mother of 2 children, and married to a U.S. service vet. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. Miss Alejandra, and thank you for being here. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Again, I just want to thank you for taking the time to share your experience. I just thought it'd be really beneficial for people to see, what type of people we represent, who we're helping, and what the process is like from the client's point of view.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I know that your mom kind of tunes in every week, so I'm sure she's probably watching us tonight.
Yeah.
Uh, and if anybody has any questions that are appropriate, please feel free to send them our way. And I'm going to go ahead and interview Alejandra now about what her process was like going through immigration. Okay, so please just kind of give everybody a quick summary as to how our paths crossed, and we can take it from there.
Well, I actually met you because my father was doing his citizenship with lawyer Moreno, and at the time, I think he was going to retire. So my dad recommended that he'd go to the firm where you were working before. So we went there, and when my dad was finished with his process, a little later, once I got married. I went there because of my father, and I scheduled an interview and an appointment.
Okay.
And they scheduled me with you, and that's how we met.
Okay. And I am happy that we met, and I believe you were probably one of my first DACA cases.
Yeah.
We did it right when it came out, and there was really a great thing that happened in 2012. So, that was, like I mentioned, 9+ years ago. So in order for people who are tuning in, DACA is deferred action for childhood arrivals. Many children arrive to the U.S. unlawfully, or they overstay their visa. And a lot of times we've had clients not know that they're out of status until they become adults, when they start to ask their parents questions or for documents. So my first question to you is, when did you realize that you were undocumented?
I actually realized when I was going into high school, and all my friends were starting to get their permits to drive. I asked my parents when I was going to be able to do that, and then that's when they sat down and talked to me and told me that unfortunately I would not be able to do that. And when it came time to decide where I was going to go to college and things like that, that's when I realized that I didn't have an immigration status, which was very sad at the
How
time.
old were you? How old were you when you came to the U.S.? Do you remember?
I was 7 years old.
Okay. And how old are you today?
I am 30.
So you've been here for 23 years, I guess, the majority of your life. What was that like to realize that you were not without status? Were you scared? Were you angry? What was your feelings like?
I was very sad. I definitely was scared because I didn't know, what was going to happen. When am I going to be able to go to school? Like, what am I going to do? Do I have to go back to Mexico if I, want to have a career and, be able to drive and do all that fun stuff that my friends were doing? So I was a little angry also, at my parents, because, they came here and we didn't have a status. But then I also realized that we came here because it was a better life for us. And I was just hoping that one day I would be able, to fix my status somehow. That hopefully, they would pass a law or something that we would be able to fix our status after being here so long.
So we applied for the DACA, and you were approved, and you received your work permit. How did that feel? Were you felt liberated a little bit, like breath of, sigh of relief? What was that process for you like?
Yes, definitely, because I was able to get my driver's license. I was able to get a job, so that I could, save money to try and go to school. So I was definitely very relieved.
Yeah, and so for those who don't know, again, DACA, you cannot have criminal history. You need to have high school education or higher. So that's why a lot of people call them the dreamers, and they're such an important part of our economy and our fabric, because they are law-abiding citizens that all work and try to continue their education. So what is it that you ended up eventually studying, and what were some of the hurdles that you faced by not having status when you tried to continue your education?
Well, right after high school, I applied at Valencia, and I didn't have a status then. So I had to pay triple the amount that a citizen or a resident of Florida would have to pay. So I was doing like 2 classes at a time because that's what I could afford. And I think my second semester, and I failed one of my math classes.
Okay.
I had a bad teacher, and I ended up failing the class, and I felt very mad and disappointed because I paid,
So
like
much money.
over $3,000 for the class. And so I decided to drop out of Valencia because I couldn't continue to pay that. I looked into technical schools. I found the medical assistant program, which would allow me to become a medical assistant. And then it was a lot cheaper at the time when I went to school. It was like $5,000 to pay for the entire program. So I thought, well, this is something that I can do because I wanted to be in the medical field. So I went ahead and did that instead.
Okay, so we got your DACA. You're now able to work, get a driver's license. You're protected from deportation for a short amount of time. Then you came back to my office for another process. So what changed to bring you back to my office, and if you can share that with everybody?
Well, I got married actually 8 years ago today.
Okay. Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending it with me, you and Aaron. That's, I think it's fitting. So it's our 8-year anniversary. Okay.
Yeah. So I got married, and my husband Aaron was like, "I want to fix your status. I want you to be able to stay here. Continue to go to school if that's something that you want to do." So we got married, and then we scheduled another appointment and came back to you. And then we started the process to try to become a resident.
So a lot of times when somebody marries a U.S. citizen, they think, okay, cool, I would like to apply for my green card now. How do we get started? However, depending on how you entered the U.S. and what type of visa or lack of visa, you may not be available to adjust status. So due to the way that Alejandra came to the US, we couldn't just apply for the green card. We had to find a special solution. And that solution would be military parole in place, or we call it PIP, okay? So, of course, Aaron, if he's listening, thanks for your service. He was in the armed forces, and he had, some issues where we were able to demonstrate some hardship that if his wife was not granted a parole in place, that he would suffer extreme hardship. So basically, this is a way to show that the government was doing discretionary, good things for people and family members of our U.S. men and women in service. Believe it or not, this program has gone away a lot of ways since the Trump administration. So if we had Alejandra's case last year, it's not likely that I would have been able to help her, even though she was married to a U.S. armed force member and a vet, and has no criminal history and has DACA. So the military parole in place, we had to demonstrate the hardship. So that was one step closer. And what that means is parole in place is that we are going to admit her to the U.S. or as if she is coming in legally from anew, fixing the issue of unlawful entry. And to get that, we had to go through, ICE and everything, ICE agents to get that approved. And thankfully, we were able to do that. So this was one of the second case that we did together, which then led to the third, almost final, but we have a couple comments. Here we have Uthman telling you happy anniversary to you and Aaron. And then we have Mr. Muhammad saying another success story. Thanks, Muhammad. And, this was a really important, again, might have been one of my initial first PIPs, military parole in place as well, because there was all these new programs coming out during this time. So now that we did this, we were able to then apply for the green card through marriage. So this is usually a very stressful part for people. What was it like to ask to be providing documents that you're in a real marriage to Aaron? And actually, isn't Aaron your high school sweetheart? How long have you guys been together?
Yeah. Well, we met when we were 7, and he was my elementary boyfriend. And then We started actually dating when we were like out of high school, so like 21, around there. Yeah. Um, but honestly, I don't think it was as stressful for me. It was probably more stressful for you because you had to do everything. But you know, it was just really getting everything together. It was very easy. You basically gave me a package. You told me what, I would need it. The sooner I can get it to you, the faster we could get the process going. The list was not, wasn't very hard. If I had questions with anything, I just had to call you or your assistant, Gloria. And it was just basically getting all the documents together, sending everything in to you guys.
So a lot of people, sometimes our new clients will get overwhelmed when we send them a long list, like a recipe for a case of what we need. But I always tell people that this is just a guide to your case. Right. Not everything is going to apply. Like, obviously, if you don't have children, there's no children's birth certificates. If you don't have a car, then there's not going to be car insurance. So you're able to gather this. And I think I see Aaron shirt there. Yeah. So Aaron, how's it going?
Good.
We'll get to you. We'll get to you shortly. Thanks for being here, both of you, and I hope you guys are going out to eat or do something more romantic than this later. But
we are.
Okay. So, what was it like to go to a green card interview, and you have an officer kind of inquiring about your marriage and your relationship? And where would you say on the scale of DACA to citizenship was the stress the highest for your case?
I think it definitely was the interview about the marriage, just because of things I've heard, where they say that they asked you a million questions, and what I was told is that they put you in separate rooms and they ask you, what is her favorite color, what is his favorite color, things like that. And so I was very nervous, that because of all the things that I've heard. But it honestly was not like I was expecting it once I actually did it. I felt more comfortable because I had Aaron in the room and you were also in the room. So if I knew that if anything was to go wrong, you were there to help me out. But I think out of all the interviews that I did, that one was the most stressful.
Yeah. So something that we do in our office is less is not more with immigration. More is more. So we try to file the case with as much evidence as possible, because you have to remember the officer is going to review your file just a few minutes before the interview. So if they open the file and they just see a marriage certificate, they're going to be, going to get worked up. There's no evidence. They're going to have to question you. So we like to probably give them an approvable case at the time of filing. And I have found that all of my clients' interviews typically go 15 to 20 minutes, much easier when it's like that. Because sometimes the clients complain, oh, you're taking too long. Now, if you want to file the case now, why do you keep asking me for documents? But really, it's for the benefit of them in the long run. And I think when the clients cooperate with us, we get, a near perfect process when we can work with that. Now, you got your green card and then you did your citizenship. How much did you study for your citizenship exam? And tell us a little bit about the history and the civics there.
Well, I honestly was studying almost every night. Aaron was helping me study. I was very nervous about that test, again, because of the things that you hear from people. And most of the people that I've known have done this whole process alone. So I think that's why it seems more scary. And I did have some practice interviews with you in regards to the civic test that they asked you, and I failed when I did it with you. So I knew, I was like, okay, I need to study, even though I went to high school here and everything. It's been a long time. So it was like I needed that refresher. But it wasn't that bad when they actually asked the questions. I think the total is 10 questions, but you have to get 6 right. So she asked me 6 questions, and then after that, it was like, okay, you passed. And that was a relief. And I remember she asked, they weren't that hard. I was studying for the ones that I was like, oh my God, she's probably going to ask these. And it was just basically, what party is the current president in? How many chief justices are there? And what was the other question she asked?
Where's the White House?
Well, yeah, where's the White House? So it wasn't that bad.
So I think most of my clients, and even some of them who are watching today, I think practice interviews are usually a lot tougher than what's probably going to happen at immigration, and I do that intentionally. And even though I warned the clients, I said, hey, I'm going to pretend to be the officer. I'm going to be mean. I'm going to be rude. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. Don't get mad. They always get upset. They think, why are you being so rude to me? And you know, most of the officers in the USCIS Orlando, they're not rude, right? You're not going to have a rude officer, but they're human beings at the end of the day. They can have long days. They can have bad days. And a lot of times when you're so nervous, unless you're overly prepared, you might mess up an interview when you speak perfect English, just like yourself.
Yeah.
So
I think you were more serious
Yeah.
when we did the the practice one. That definitely did make me nervous, but it was a good practice.
Well, I mean, I can't say it enough. Congratulations. It's been quite the journey. For me, it's like, I mean, I think, well, first of all, you guys are like a perfect family and a perfect love story. And
Thank
then
you.
for me, you're also a perfect immigration love story, right? So we had the DACA, the military parole in place, the green card, and now the citizenship. And on top of that, we even represented Aaron at some point, who's a U.S. citizen. Aaron, do you want to tell us really quickly what we helped you with and what that experience was like for you? So this is Aaron, everybody, and let's thank him for his service to the U.S. Armed Forces and welcome him. And Aaron, tell us what other case we worked with you on.
Well, you did my my personal injury case, which was back, was it 2017? Basically, I was on my way to work when some other driver basically sideswiped my vehicle and knocked it over on its side.
And so what was that like as far as treating? Like, did you have to get treatment, or how often did you go to?
So as far as treatment went, I mean, the place that I was referred to, Advantacare, they were very pretty meticulous. They knew what they wanted. They sent me out for a lot of testing, a lot of MRIs. At one point, they did like nerve testing, and that was, I think that was like the worst part about it. That and the spinal injection.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, they knew what they were looking for, and they documented everything very well.
Was there anything you were worried about happening with that case, like being stuck with bills, or what was the biggest stress for you?
The biggest thing, I honestly wasn't even gonna pursue a case. What scared me was when I got a letter from that woman's attorney saying that they were filing charges against me, and that's what terrified me. And that's when I was like, you know what, let me ask Naif, see what we can do. And luckily the results were great.
Okay. Well, I'm happy that went well for you, and that you guys continue to trust me and different aspects of your life. So that's always the biggest compliment for me. Aaron, what would you give for a couple going through a situation like you and Alejandra have gone through? What would your advice be for them dealing with an attorney, choosing an attorney? What kind of information can you share with that?
Honestly, if you're going through the whole process of it from start to finish, honestly, when you're looking for an attorney, you got to have someone who has empathy like yourself, who can relate, and also someone who is meticulous. As I mean, you didn't miss anything. Everything, like Alejandra said, it was a whole packet that we were able to get to you, and But I think the most important thing is to be patient.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you have to be patient with your attorney, be patient with the process, and we have to be patient with our clients. It's the most important aspect of your life, right? Your wife's future here with you, her ability to stay here. Alejandra, is there anything else that you can share about choosing the right attorney, and then maybe any other processes that we've handled that are not you or maybe some other family members?
Well, I think you definitely need to look for a lawyer who is caring, somebody that it's easy to reach, because there are a lot of lawyers that, you know, it's always their assistant. With you, I remember, I mean, we've been in each other's lives so long now that, you know, we text you on vacation and you responded, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. So, you know, obviously somebody that cares about you and that treats this like, you know, it's somebody in your family. My mother actually, when she was going through her process, she had a lawyer who, you know, was supposed to she was trying to become a resident, and, you know, she turned in everything he asked for and then never heard from him again. They kept calling and wouldn't hear anything until I think a year later, he finally called and was like, oh, I'm not sure what happened. Let's get everything together. And literally 10 o'clock at night, he was trying to get her to put everything together and, you know, send it in to her. And I told my parents, you know, that's not right. He's not doing anything. I don't think he cares. You guys should go with Naif. And she did. You know, they decided to move forward with you, and everything was.
I think at one point her case was even denied, right? There was an issue with maybe I think I did some wrong identity or something crazy.
And he didn't fix that.
Yeah, so we were able to fix that, which was, so your mom went through a provisional waiver process where, like, unlike you were able to do military parole in place. She had to get a pardon or a provisional waiver to travel back to Mexico and come back. So just because that case is denied, you can still apply again and try to correct it. So I'm happy that that worked out for her and that we were able to help her with that. And again, as I said, that she joins us every week on Facebook, and I know you're watching, so help her. And she should be proud of you and proud of Aaron. Your family has raised great adults, and I don't have anything further to share unless you guys have something else you would like to add. But again, thank you for doing this and being on tonight and sharing your story. I know that's not easy, but anything else that you would like to share with us tonight?
Honestly, I want to say thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for caring about us and for getting us out where we are now. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys. And for anybody who thinks that about the cell phone, that was a long time ago. But the best way to reach me is always email. My phone is in my hand. And if you hire me 3 or 4 times, then perhaps you'll get my cell phone. And Aaron. So I'm going to ask you guys to follow us on social media. And Mubarak Law on YouTube and Instagram. We do all of our updates. For example, we were announcing yesterday the Venezuelan TPS, and we do our Facebook Lives every week. If there's a topic you want to hear about, or you're a former client who wants to share your story in the future, please let me know. Thank you guys, and let's wish Alejandra and Aaron a happy anniversary, and hopefully a lifetime of happiness to continue to come, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll see you guys later. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.